We are living in an artificially induced state of consciousness that resembles sleep. The movement was begun by a scientist who discovered, quite by accident, these signals being sent. We have been lulled into a trance. Please understand, they are safe as long as they are not discovered.
They want their weapon.
Look out for Charlie.
I want that son of a bitch dead. I want him dead.
My banner used to say, everything leaves evidence. And I wasn't joking about that. Everything does leave evidence. If you are recording or recording video and you don't hear anything, don't delete it because there is something there. There's always something there to prove that ELF and EF targeting technology is at work everywhere. And today, I want to talk about David Paulides and his Can-Am Missing Project. He does the Missing 411. It's his. He did all the work. But I've noticed it in a lot of his videos that you can hear this stuff out in the middle of nowhere. And other people's videos as well, like when they're out in your streams in brooks, I can hear this signal banging off the noise that the water is making. And in this specific video, it's the Montana Missing Girls Cluster. That's the one I chose to go over because of all the wind, quote unquote wind, in the actual video, in the audio of the video. So what we're going to do is we're going to check out the video because David Paulides proved that I'm right by accident. I'm not going to play any of the actual video because, as he said, it's his copyrighted YouTube page. But if you go to this video and check it out, it's under the Can-Am Missing Project, and it's the Montana Missing Girls Cluster. About 5 minutes in, you're going to notice that the wind really starts to pick up, and it's a rumble in the mic, just this low rumble. And what this does, for those of you who don't know, is that this stuff is being used everywhere. In your home right now, it's being used. It's coming right out of your power lines. It's vibrating everywhere. It's coming from cell and Wi-Fi towers. It is out in the middle of nowhere. It's everywhere. And it's being used, and it's not only being used to cause the haunted house effect, but it's monitoring areas. It can do things that you wouldn't believe. When somebody is hearing the voice of Obama, it is this weapon at work and not somebody going crazy because they lost their job or something and suddenly started to hear voices. So let's get right to the audio and I'll show you what's up. What these ELF frequencies do is they pound off each other and they heterodyne. And they tend to heterodyne with tinnitus type frequencies. Let's say 8,000 hertz or 8 kilohertz. All right. And then what happens is this signal rides on noise. When you create a noise, another noise is created almost instantaneously that follows this noise. Okay. And it is everywhere. I'm trying to make people really understand this. It's not skipping you. It's not skipping your house. There are average Joe six-pack guys that lay down to go to bed and hear this shit at night and have emailed me about it like hundreds of times. I've gotten hundreds of emails from people who aren't specifically targeted with this stuff, but hear the effects of it because it's banging around on everything, especially if you have appliances, and everybody has appliances, refrigerators, blow dryers, blenders, fans, anything that it can ride on, it rides on. Your television, all of it. And recently I found the frequency that it all seems to be riding on, but I won't get there in this video. So, like I said, about 5 minutes in, the wind really starts to pick up. And the wind is just like an appliance or anything else. So this ELF starts to ride on the noise that's being created in the camera. That's what happens. You don't need an electronic device to necessarily hear this, but electronic devices, recorders, cameras, audio recorders, seem to pick this up better than the human ear. And a lot of nefarious stuff is done with this stuff. A lot. So you know what I'm working with. We have to play the whole clip. It's like, let's see. It's 1 minute and 13 seconds long. I think you can handle that. It's tedious, but it's necessary. This is the ELF from the David Paulides video. One clip of the ELF. And it settles down here, and then it picks up again here. This is ELF and wind, and the wind causing ELF. Okay, you heard what I'm working with. The way this system works is that it takes a noise to make a noise. And if you hear a noise in your house, there has already been a noise created, whether you can hear it or not, in the ELF range for another noise to ride on, whether that be footsteps on your roof, your door opening but it didn't really open, your sink turning on. There's a million different things that this weapon does. But here's the kicker. Alright, I've adjusted this. This is the ELF from the wind, and you can see it's the same as the waveform before. It's just been boosted up, and I've adjusted it. With this, usually I do like a stage 1, stage 2, stage 3. With this, there aren't any versions that are really better than the others, but there is a difference to all of them where somebody might hear something in one that they didn't hear in the other. So I'm going to play like 4 or 5 different versions of this because it's not wind. And there's a lot of people out there covering for this, saying that it's your ears matrixing sound, you know, all this BS. Let's just get to it. Here are the voices in the wind. Now notice that there's barely any voices when the wind calms down, except the little gusts, because there's nothing for the noise to ride on. Now it's going to pick back up. Okay, you may or may not have heard a whole lot of things in that, but it was continuous vocalizations, sort of a sine wave speech, a 21st century version of the voter, and it's out in the middle of nowhere. So let's play version 2. calms down. And then the auto gain will bring it up with the wind. And what you have to pay special attention to is what I brought up earlier. When the wind calms down and there's barely anything for it to ride on except for the little bursts of wind coming into the mic, there is nothing for this noise to ride on, so it is barely audible. So let's play version 3, see what's up. It's undeniable. Period. If you have ears and you know audio, it's there. Let's loop that part right there. Let's loop this. And before I forget, if you're listening to this on a phone or some old tablet, do not do that. You need to listen to this on a speaker set that has woofers and a tweeter so that the low end and the high end can be pushed, or a good set of headphones, preferably the old school coconut style headphones that have good bass response, or you can listen to it on good earbuds. Anything except that crappy little tweeter coming out of your phone, because you are not hearing it. If you are listening to it on that, you're not hearing it. Now let's play this version, which is a little bit different. Let's loop that beginning right there. "100% communication." It's ELF communication. And if you don't know, this can vibrate your sinuses, your skull, your ears, the bones in your ears, your eardrum, and you can hear this. You can absolutely hear this. And you can be, because of circumstance that I won't get into in this video, you can be the only one in the room that's hearing it, just like the hum. And then pretty soon, you're James Holmes. We'll skip to here. Let's loop that part again. Another thing is, if you pay attention, there's two frequencies going on, main frequencies. There's the low that's rumbling and the higher. You want to be listening to the higher on this one. Listen to the guitar or cymbals, so to speak. Okay, if you just stumbled here, this is a quick lesson. The way these voices work is that they don't have a normal human inflection. And the way they speak is in pulses. So each pulse is a syllable. Let's say it was saying the word amplifier. It would say amplifier, or it might drag something out. It's very a robotic, computer, digital speak. So with that said, I just did a high pass on this, 300 hertz and above. So let's loop this little spot right here. And it rides on noise. It always rides on noise. And if there is no noise, there is generally a noise created for it to ride on. Whether that be a noise you can't hear with your ears in your home or the vicinity that you're in, or a high-pitched ringing in your ear for that to heterodyne off of. You could call it heterodyning, a beat frequency, or harmonics, or a chord. It creates sound on sound. Now, this part I want to show you. It says in syllables, if you look at it, pulse, 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 pulse. You see that? And it's very, very interesting when you get into the science of it. But let's listen to this for a second. Now don't listen to the low end, listen to the high end, or the high mid-range, if you will. Okay, what that says is it's better at 4 hertz. I'll loop 4 hertz first. 4 hertz, 4 hertz. Then I'll play the it's better at. Then if you play it all together, it's better at 4 hertz. So that's what we've got in wind, simple wind. So everything leaves evidence. This is from a David Paulides video. This is a minute. It's all over the video, but I just chose 1 minute. And if you don't know this, it never shuts up. It never quits talking. It never stops. It's like the Terminator, right? So, you know, if I go through a recording, let's say an hour recording, and I hit audio bedrock and bring this up, it is going to continue and continue and continue. And there are different voices within the voices. And when you get down deep, there's an almost hypnotist sounding voice talking through the entire thing in a very monotone tone that goes on like this forever. It never stops talking. And it's just waiting for more noise to be kicked up so that it can ride on it. And it's ELF, so it's way different than a frequency like a radio frequency that you can put, you know, tinfoil up and reflect it. It passes through everything. Everything. Make no mistake about it. This is a weapon. It is weaponized, regardless of whether there are people who are looking for oil or whatever they're doing to send this electromagnetic signal out. They might not even know what it's really doing. It is weaponized, and it is a weapon, and they are using it, and they have been using it since before 9/11, but especially after 9/11. That's when it kicked into high gear. I'm a big fan of David Paulides, And I'd like to thank him for proving me right, because his videos are full of evidence. And with that said, look out for Charlie.